All right, so today our topic is shadow. I'm so excited when I listed like just some ideas off the top of my head that you jumped on that. And it's probably the least familiar or my least favorite topic out of all the things I want to talk about, like synchronicity and the universe and the divine feminine and things like that. But that's what you went for, so I want to dive into that.
I think you raise a good point. Like, it's so fun to deal with the icing, like the sunny side, the light work. And the real work is working in balance and actually giving homage to the not so fun stuff. And so once I had a different experience with it or a different perspective, I was like, I want to talk about this all the time, every day.
So, wow. Yeah. Okay. Has that always been like, how did that come into your life, or when did it first, like, when did you first hear about it, learn about it, read about it, get interested?
You know, I think ever since I was 27 and I'm 39 now, I've been curious, and that curiosity took on the flavor of self-development, which is kind of rooted in this belief that you're imperfect or you're broken or something's not working. And so I just like ate all that stuff up, and really by the time I was, I think it had to have been 33, which is like Jesus here for people. I had just gotten married. I went on honeymoon. I was gone for 3 weeks. And before I left for honeymoon, I was really fidgety. I was really antsy. I was dissatisfied. I was bored. I was feeling a lot of like discontent and frustration, and I wasn't verbalizing it. I felt like, and this was at the time, the focus was my job. Like I really need to have fun and passion for what I'm doing in order to like give that personal and physical energy to it every day. And so I was feeling discontent. And if you don't take hold of your life on your own terms, the universe finds a way, and it's not always clean and tidy. So go on honeymoon, come back. This was on the eve of Trump being elected, all the feels, all the stuff going on. And I had one terrible, no good, bad, awful day. It was the worst. And it's the one where you could easily call like the dark night of the soul, the thing that took me to the dark night of the soul. And I mean, gosh, if someone told me that you'll go through it again or many times in your life, I might puke. But like, I understand coming out the other side, the light and the value of it. And so at the time, I felt a lot of shame. I felt a lot of embarrassment. I felt failure. I felt vulnerable, exposed. I was like a shell of myself, because what happened, which is like not even really important, it made me feel really small. And I don't know, like I had this like spiritual awakening from my dark night of the soul. And so I already saw the value of it. And then I started to explore this concept of balance. What does it mean to operate in balance? Because the opposite is operating, on one side or the other. Clearly in the discontent and, the not feeling good. And I started to understand that I was comprised of two parts: positive, negative, light, shadow, good, bad. And my aha came when I went on a retreat to heal myself, to fix myself. And 2 volunteers did an interpretive dance. This was a dance retreat. I needed to shake out my feelings about myself. And I enjoy music and dance. And so these 2 volunteers, I gave them a word, which was like not good enough or something like that. And one character represented the light and the other character represented shadow. And they did this dance, and I was just like, I was looking at myself. It was an out-of-body experience to see two
Wow.
people role play me. And I saw all of a sudden that my good is a part of the bad and bad is part of the good. They are two in the same, and you cannot, cut one off to save the other. They exist symbiotically. So, fast forward, I'm like living this different experience. And then, of course, like here we are in a time of COVID, and it's changing everything we know. It's changing how we act, how we talk, how we engage. And something that really triggered me recently was how people are still posting, because I work in social media as like one aspect of my work. And, we're an increased screen time, which can make me feel out of balance as well. I just saw so much perfection projected. Where are our feelings? Like, show me your bad, the ugly, along with your good. Don't be afraid. So there's been this the self-help industry makes billions of dollars on us all trying to get rid of shadow, of trying to fix the dark. And I'm just very passionate about seeing shadow in a different light, because I'm just over people being like, success, vision board, words. And I'm like, yeah, but we're going to continue patterns if we don't give them a platform, if we don't look at them.
Right. This is great, because I wanted to ask you about this. I've had an argument in my mind, and I don't know if there's a clear answer for this, but it's can you get to healing and transformation, manifestation without addressing the shadow? Can you just focus on that, get stronger, focus on where you want to be?
So I'm going to attempt to answer that as succinctly as possible. My immediate answer is no. And I think there's a disconnect between, and this will sound familiar to you, the older New Age community and the younger New Age community. Older New Age community comes from the generation of The Secret, where all you had to do was to vision board it, to think happy thoughts from the feelings, of your future self. And there's value to that. And that is absolutely part of the total puzzle. But what we are asleep to is that our subconscious, our shadow, runs 80 to 90% of the show. So you can
wow, really? Okay.
100%. And you can read a lot of new books that say there's a reason for that. There is a positive journey reason to start out in the dark and to have an awakening, right? Because hindsight, knowledge really comes from hindsight and 20/20 vision and appreciation. So we can't experience healing until we experience, the pain, and, they're together. So what's missing is awareness of subconscious. It is a part of us. If we ignore it, we're only making half of the greater growth. Or in the subconscious conscious context, 10% progress, because 80 to 90% is still, that's your saboteur. Right. That's the thing that's going to remind you, nope, you still have to deal with me. You still have to see me, hear me. And that's when projecting happens, when it doesn't get the opportunity to be seen and heard.
Yeah. And self-sabotage maybe too. Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, Carl Jung's kind of the one that coined the term the shadow and the shadow self. And he has a famous quote that I would rather be whole than good. Just kind of recognizing that there are two parts of us. And that, I've read a lot too, that we should even not label it good and bad, right? Because it's conscious, unconscious. It's hard not to label that as bad though. Right. It's really hard not to. And I want to know if you have any tips on how to, like, how do you accept it, you know, explore it without feeling bad about yourself, and like using that to kind of like transmute it?
Well, I think our first task is to normalize it, to understand that society dictates what's normal, this, you know, the socioeconomic norms, and it's inaccurate and incomplete. So I understand that I exist as a dualistic, binary, dual energy person. And, you know, the key, the sweet spot is to be in the middle, to be in balance. You can't be in balance without having shadow. I think so let's talk about ego, right? Identity is a output of ego. And when we put a word to something, there's value in naming things. But if we put a label on it and judge it, that is simply a means of creating control. And we can't control everything and anything. And so I always kind of go to like this Buddhist theory, this Buddhist thought that to be human is to suffer, and we all suffer. So it isn't good or bad, it just is. And I think as adults, the best thing we can do is to facilitate friends and social circles that can hold us, that can contain or accept or appreciate compassion. Because I know for a fact that I don't keep friends that can't accept me for my faults just as much as they love me for my good. So I think tips and tools to not feel bad or to label things as bad is to actually zoom way out and understand ourselves from like a human consciousness perspective of like, who are we as people? We're all connected. There is no separate. Good and bad is a means and a method of separation. And, you know, it's for us to be aware of, to remember that the goal is to like allow the levers to adjust and fluctuate with the goal of being in balance in the middle.
Yeah, I love the naming without judgment. That sounds simple again, but like really complicated in real life, because you do have to let go of your ego. I mean, the ego loves to judge and loves to compare and loves to, you know, loves judgment, loves it so much.
And it has a purpose, you know, like it has a role and a function to keep us safe, but it doesn't define who we are, because who we are is not this body. It's not this, my hair color, my body shape. You know, every emotion is in existence universally.
Right. Yeah. And I really liked I just had this visual of kind of like how you saw the two people dancing out the like good and bad. If we also separate like to the collective where we see humanity is separate from us, like that dance as well. It was kind of like
one of the coolest exercises, if you don't have people who can role play for you, especially while physically distant and socially distant, someone said, whatever emotion or shadow is screaming at you, which by the way, like there are a million personality tests and free tests online you can take. Enneagram is a really, you know, useful Jungian tool. But whatever you're feeling, give it a name, personify it. Are they male? Are they female? What are they wearing? What's their job? And I think the coolest thing, you know, because I err on the side of storyteller in my day-to-day life. I was like, oh, okay, my inner critic, her name is Agadora. She's an art critic who like studied really hard, didn't have it easy. She's really about technique and is a harsh critic. And she's really curmudgeonly, but like fashionable. And my friend who was doing this exercise with me, she said, "What does Agadora always say?" And I was like, "Well, in my day, dot, dot, dot."
I love
So
that so much. I've never heard of using that technique before.
it's, and you can love her because she's a
Right.
part of me, and you can laugh at like, oh, I have so much compassion for Agadora because this was just like all she knew. So I think it's a useful, fun tip and tool.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then it is kind of like this, like within you, you have this awesome like dinner party that you're hosting with all of these kind of guests that you have invited into your life, because I do agree that they're there for a purpose, and they're there to show us something or teach us something, or, you know, show what's really going on. So like, why wouldn't you invite them in and
Yeah.
have them be this like fabulous, like New York City?
Sure. I mean,
I
she
love
lives
that.
in Hudson,
Right.
duh. Her life is a mausoleum. So,
Yeah, yeah, I can see the
right.
dust. I can see the dust on like her relics, like
Yeah.
the beautiful art collection. Yeah.
And you know, now that we have Zoom, an even fun exercise is to do this with all your friends in a Zoom room where everybody names their inner critic, and then every critic is at the like metaphorical table, and it's like fun.
Right,
Like,
right.
all right, I get it.
It is really powerful too. Like as soon as you name something, it usually does take the power away from it, I find.
Yeah.
It's like this, you know, as soon as you name your fear out loud, it's like, whoosh, it's gone. It doesn't even, you're like laughing, like, is that really what I was afraid of or embarrassed about? Or, yeah, so that's a really powerful too. Yeah.
It's, I think what's really hard for me and my, you know, like my shadow. So again, normalizing and saying publicly, like, this is me, is I'm always afraid of if I get agitated or irritated, that if I spew, then someone's going to like cut me off or, you know, divorce me as a friend, judge me, label me as like a hothead. And, you know, let's talk about that shadow. That shadow is fear of judgment, fear of belonging, you know, self-esteem, not feeling like there's a place or a container, that I'm too much, which is also a very feminine shadow. So it all has a place, and it's not good or bad. I just have to be aware, playful, and intentional with who I share space with.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, this kind of goes back to last week's topic that I had with Olivia about honesty. I mean, I feel as long as I'm honest with someone, I usually don't get the backlash that I thought I would. Like people are usually really understanding. And I love the thing too about the perfectionist wave that's kind of taking over the internet with COVID. I mean, I feel like it's gotten better. I mean, I feel like a week in, I saw a woman who I admire, and she was like doing her live Facebook in her bathrobe. Like, this is what I can do. I know that you did lives in your pajamas, which is awesome, and also gave me the confidence
Yes.
to do this. So like, you know, those times when we kind of expose our shadow, we're usually rewarded with like just the authenticity of it really resonates with people.
Yes, because
Is
there's
that
so
how
much.
like you found it in your experience too? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much inauthenticity. I mean, everything is curated and scripted and perfect, and if anyone out there is a workaholic or a perfectionist, like, that's a trap. And when you work in it, you know, before COVID, maybe we could have stepped back from social media a little bit. And I'm really using social media as like a myopic example. But we could have stepped away, but now everybody is online because this is how we're connecting. And just the other day, I saw something that triggered me, and I was just like, ugh, this platform is garbage. And I just went down like a death spiral of thoughts. And I realized that the value of being triggered is that it brings a lot of stuff up to the surface. And so that's, again, like the same role and value that shadow can play.
Yeah, I love that. We'll talk about fear on another day too, because it's such a deep one.
Yeah.
And I this is so funny too. Like, we're laughing a lot on this conversation, and I thought the shadow one would be like really sad and really deep and really dark. But it doesn't have to be, right? Like,
No.
I find it funny too, like that we can talk about it
That
like
is
this.
so fucking normal.
Right. And everybody has one. Everyone has a shadow side. And when I think about people that I admire, they're showing up with that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not hiding it. Like, people that hide their shadow are usually come off so fake or perfect that they're not real.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I'm part of, a couple groups, associations, master classes, and I find that as with therapists, as with leaders, as with friends, like, I really need to feel like I'm on the same level. Like, moderator or leader represent having overcome stuff, but you're still real. You're not projecting perfection. And that's what drives me crazy. Don't just show me you're good, because I won't trust you. I actually won't see you as authentic. Yeah. And maybe authenticity is a value that's unique to like a handful of people, because some people would rather be successful than in integrity. That's valid. So I think maybe that's how like the self-help industry stays alive and well, because they're only presenting a piece of the puzzle, That's what sells. Or polar opposite, total negativity sells, because we separate ourselves from that and derive value from not being that.
Yeah, it gives us something to like define across from it. Yeah.
It's hard, but it's who we are. We can try and be playful, and we have to understand that we don't have access to the full picture. Like, just try and zoom in and zoom out as much as you can, and realize that, when you zoom out, all that shit doesn't matter, because we're all connected. We're all one. And living in this 3D life on Earth, on a planet, it's very binary. You and I have talked about that. And there's value to that, because it provides us means for exploration and means for discovery and means for growth, which is why we're here, spiritual growth.
Right. Yeah. And again, like, going back to this, there's no kind of good, bad. I mean, there is, because it's a polarity planet, and we have those dichotomies, but if you can take the things that maybe we want to change, there is so much energy in anger and embarrassment and shame, that if we could just turn it kind of make it into like a force for good. Imagine how much power you have inside of you today to start something, or to do something, or to change something. It's incredible.
There's a quote that I think has value that I want to read off, because I thought it might have a place today. So let's see. I just have to find it. Why is it necessary? Like, why is shadow, dark, bad, low vibration necessary? And that's because the pursuit of just light is perpetuating dark. So that's a metaphorical description of being imbalanced. Like, someone who is projecting purity, perfection, light, like pure lightness, good, you're separating yourself from others. And that makes you no different than someone on the other side who's like, I don't believe in this, and you're too foo-foo, and you're a snowflake, and all that. They're both the same
Right. They just have different size basements, right? They just one has a bigger basement full of crap that they don't want to show.
Bingo.
And one has like a garage with the door open for the neighbors to see. They're both there.
Yes.
So Alma's watching too, and she just said that she's reframing it as not bad and ugly versus good, but something we're not willing to see.
Yes.
So I like that too, like this like seen, unseen. As
yes.
you know, because I do think that, yeah, the words have power. So if we can rename things, name it, give it a character and a title and a persona and invite them in, we can really have some fun with it, it sounds like.
Yeah. Because we can't control everything. That's
right.
not the way of the universe.
Right, right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Anything else you want to add? We're almost to our half an hour, but we have some lovely ladies from our group as well, Amy and Susan watching.
Yay.
Yay.
Let's see. I was going to see if I saw any questions, but I think the biggest thing is, if I could impart anything, it's that to see that there's no end destination. It's a way of being. It's a series of levers and archetypes. So like, if you're feeling shadow, if you don't want to deal with shadow, just ask yourself, where am I at right now? And I think the biggest tip that I read, which I didn't really like put a whole lot of stock into until COVID, was the value of silence. And sitting in silence and stillness can be excruciating.
Oh yeah.
That bubbles up. And you just want it. Just be in a space, like prepare to like be in silence, have your like personal metaphorical blankies nearby for when you come out of your cave. But we don't take enough time to reset, to get quiet, to contemplate, to like work through, and then restore and refresh, and then reenter society. I mean, certainly as being women, I think during our menses, we should heed the call to be still and to be silent and to conserve our power. But like, let's not even talk about gender. Like, there's stuff that people repress or like, you're either overly cerebral or overly embodied. And those are very two polar opposites. So I think silence is the biggest accessible, free, universal tool to start with. And then get playful, and then journal, or do, physical activity, art, whatever it is. Because you just want to move the energy is all.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It is. And it is all about balance in the end. It's not about, it's not that we ever get rid of the shadow, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that it ever goes away. It's about bringing it in, making space for it, resolving if there's anything that needs to be resolved, and kind of just accepting that you're whole. So as long as you're whole, you're good.
So why don't we playfully end this chat, if you're willing, Cricket, to name your personified shadow, and we'll go through this in real time so everyone can see.
I know. Well, I would definitely want to like play with that too. I definitely also picture this like older woman with pearls and like a really cool vintage like she's never changed out of her like 70s outfit.
Oh yeah.
Her name is something like Mariah, or I don't know, like something really fancy or foreign sounding.
Mariah does sound like fancy, but definitely like generational. Like when there were more Mariahs, there were more like Hazels. And
that's true. But maybe she's like half Latina, like Cuban refugee. So she's like still really cool and international, but also very sophisticated and old.
What does Mariah always say?
She says, "What do you think you're doing, girl?"
So she speaks from tradition, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. and it's safe staying where we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you don't belong here. Like, what do you think you're doing here? Yeah.
Well, Agadora is sitting with Mariah, and Agadora is commenting on her pearls, appreciating them. But it's also the most like awkward, stiff conversation between two individuals.
Oh yeah, because they're judging each other too. Susan says she loves the pearls too.
Agador is staring at the vinyl tablecloth that's protecting the dining table in the kitchen.
Oh God. Yeah, thank you for that. I will have some fun with that for sure. I love it. Just hearing what she says too makes you think, okay, what's the fear behind this? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everyone can have fun with their shadow and visit it daily, because there's a different person every day, every hour.
Oh yeah, this is just one of the book that will be the album. Amy says her shadow is a nihilistic goth.
Oh, I love it. Wow. You can really
they're welcome too. That's really colorful. in an all black kind of way.
Naturally, the higher the turtleneck, the more, the more protected.
Yeah.
I love that. See if I can.
Okay.
Well, I think we're good. If anyone has questions, I'm friends with Cricket and connected, and I probably know half of you.
I think you know everybody here. Yeah, I might have to watch the replay, but the shadow is our inner critic. It is one of the dimensions of our shadow is an inner critic, but there could be lots of personas, like the I don't know, somebody that's
The
like
martyr.
Yeah, all the like victim.
Yep.
Whatever kind of archetype shows up that is kind of pulling us back from where we need to be.
Yeah.
Unconsciously. Yeah. All right. This was wonderful, Christine. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Oh, it's fun. It's like hanging out with a friend in a virtual room.
Yeah. Just what it is.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm sure I'll have you back to talk about some other topics too in the future, because I know that you're well versed in a lot of things that we have similar interests in. So
awesome. Can't wait.
Thank you so much.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Ciao.